I may be the only person that was ever fired from a volunteer position. When I was teaching in Bryan, I did the PA system for football games. I was the official PA announcer. I did halftime for the band and the football play by play. I did all of it. And of course, when homecoming came, where I was the chief cook and bottle washer on the mic, and things were going pretty good. And the day came for I believe it was 69 homecoming at SFA, and the after school, rehearsal, dress rehearsal. I reported to the press box, and the speech teacher was sitting at the microphone with the script. I said, "Hey, what's going on?" He said, he looked terribly uncomfortable. He says, "Didn't anyone talk to you?" And I said, "Talk to me about what?" He said, "You need to go talk to Stegall." He was the principal. Well, he and I hadn't gotten along very well anyway. So I reported to Stegall. That was difficult for me to do, to even be in the company of that man. He and I didn't get along at all. Come to find out later, he was hired to get rid of me. Anyway, he said, "Yeah," he said, "you've been removed, you've been relieved of duty." And I said, "What duty?" He said, "PA." He said, "We don't need you to do the PA anymore." He said, "You were distracting from the game." Hmm. I was distracting from the game. And I said, "Stegall, let's just cut to the chase. What's the problem here?" He said, "You're just a problem." He said, "Nobody appreciates what you do, and you show off, and you think you're cute, you distract from the game." I said, "How do I do that?" And he said, "Well, if you really want to know, people are more interested in what you're saying than the game itself." Okay. Well, maybe the game should be better played, right? Well, I don't know. Anyway, I got fired for being too good on a PA system. Is there anything wrong with that thinking? Well, later, the superintendent of schools had done everything he could do to make life difficult for Jack Briggs and I. He would call us to his office on our off period, the only off period we had, and we would sit in his anteroom with the door open and him either working on a crossword puzzle or chatting on the phone or just looking out the window or just staring at us. He never called us in for a conference. He just wanted us to know that he could control us. He didn't have to fool with us. He just was a controller. The man had a very serious medical problem, and he was working for a small bank in College Station. And I came to Bryan to sing at a wedding for one of my former students. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to go say hello to Mr. Bowen. Now, this man had also matriculated up to being the head of the Texas State Teachers Association, chief executive. So he had political pull. Anyway, when I walked in, he jumped up and hugged my neck, and he said, "I'm so glad you're here." And I said, "Well, Mr. Bowen, I just wanted to come and say hello and wish you well." And he kind of teared up and he said, I really need that. He said, "I need your prayers." I said, "I understand that." And he said, "You know, Jim," he said, "you're one of the best teachers I ever had in my life." I said, "Well, Mr. Bowen, that's kind of hard for me to cogitate because you kept trying to get rid of me." He said, "Well, I couldn't control you." And I said, "Okay, help me out here." He said, "I was messed up." He said, "I did a terrible thing to you. I tried to get you fired. I did everything I could do." And I said, "You even hired Stegall to be the hammer man." And I said, "Was that fair to all of us?" He said, "No." And I said, "Well, Mr. Bowen, maybe we need to forgive each other." And we did that. But isn't that tragic? Isn't that the way we are? We're envious of those who, because of God's help, Gersie and Mace, forgive me, Lord, Mercy and Grace, we have gifts that, if we use them properly, they place us in a position of respectful behavior, or at least respect. How tragic. But that's the way education is today. Those who do it well are envied by those who couldn't. The Peter Principle, look it up in the dictionary, is alive and well in America. And that's what I get from my box of chocolates from right here in my little corner studio under the shadow of Kyle Field.